during the time of the English domination, I've read that Bengal and Kolkata was also the center of resistance.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I understand that the English moved the capital to New Delhi was to take it away from the nationalist, the stronghold of nationalism in Kolkata. And it seems that in the early years of football, especially the early 20th century, games between Indian teams from Kolkata and British military sides had an enormous political resonance.
Yes.
What was football, was being good at football seen as an act of political resistance right from the start?
In a way, yes, because see, when football was started in late 1880s, when it became popular among natives, so the Indian Football Association, IFA, which is the oldest FA in Asia, when it was formed, and it was named Indian Football Association, but it didn't have any Indian members, native members. So the entire administration was controlled by British administrators. And even when the Calcutta Football League, which is the oldest football league in Asia, which was started in late 1890s, even when it was started, it didn't have any Indian clubs or native clubs participating in the top division. It was only British civilian teams or British army teams. This gradually changed from 1900, when you have more Indians participating in the administration also, and more clubs also getting promoted. Uh, the turning point was 1911, when Mohun Bagan defeated the East Yorkshire Regiment to win the IFA Shield. So before that, Indian clubs had won minor trophies, but three major trophies India had. That one was IFA Shield, one was Durand Cup, the other was the Rovers Cup. Now, Durand Cup and Rovers Cup, these were exclusively for British Army teams. Durand Cup was exclusively for Army teams. Rovers Cup was exclusively for British civilian and Army teams. No Indian clubs were allowed to participate. So IFA Shield, when it was started, this was started more as a FA Cup structure, where teams from different parts of India could actually participate, both native clubs and British clubs. So when Mohun Bagan won the IFA Shield, right, this was huge. I mean, no one had expected that a team with Indian players could defeat a full British team. And they had 10 barefoot players, actually, the Mohun Bagan team. Only one player wore boots. So this was, in a way, a sign of resistance, where, I mean, you couldn't match a British citizen on the roads. But on football field, there's no restriction like that. So football was at that point viewed as a sign of masculinity, where you can match up to your masters on the field. So some of the early icons of the game, Goshtopal and Balaidas Chatterjee, both of them were defenders. Balaidas Chatterjee was actually a boxer also. He was a footballer and a boxer both. They were good footballers, but they were actually famous because they could, if they were hit on the ground by a British player, they could hit back. That was their claim to fame. And this was just two examples. I mean, we've had examples of players who were actually involved in the freedom movement. And there was this player from Arian FC who was actually arrested after a game because he was involved in the freedom struggle, and he was involved in one of the more violent activities. So we had examples, and also because football matches, they brought in a big crowds. So people used those crowds to protest. There were examples of protests where women came down to protest some arrests, and matches were called off due to that. So due to the crowds and due to the level of popularity that football brought at that time, yeah, it was definitely one vehicle. And also the physicality.
It does show you that the trajectory of football over the last century and a half replicates itself right across the globe. You know, the story that you're talking about, you could argue, has been part of the struggle of the working classes here in Britain, as well as Tim will know, the sort of liberation struggles in South America, where football has played a part.